Hello, and today we're looking at the 4 cornerstones of fuzz. Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Hey,
Ah,
Mick here. Hello. This is so strange. This is the first show. Welcome. First show we're going to try and film together. Hang on, this isn't pointing anywhere at me whatsoever. Is yours pointing at you, Dan?
yeah, vaguely.
We got the plexi screens. We've got hand sanitizer. We've got signs up everywhere.
We got volume.
We got volume.
My heart's racing a little bit after that. It's like, oh, I remember this.
We're going to talk about fuzz, but before we do that, Dan, I think you should have some schwang. Just to get back in the game. Right.
Yeah.
First up, how is volume?
Man, essential.
Is that the first time you played with volume?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been at home with isolation cabs and you know, kids and dogs and just, okay, I can hear that. That'll do.
So it's the 20th of March, wasn't it? It was about then. It's now the 20th of May, or about then. It's later than that. It's nearly the 1st of June, maybe.
27th.
27th of May. So it's been 2 months
Yep.
of not hearing a loud guitar. I say it's been 2 months. So, okay, so everyone freaking out over social distancing. There are some things that we've done. We've put the thing in place here because we are just about 2 meters away from each other, a bit closer than that probably. So we've put the thing in place. Secondly, only I am going to touch the pedals. Shall we make that rule?
Okay, fine.
And we've got the sanitizer and everything, so I don't know. Have at it with your comments.
The first thing I noticed from playing with volume is you've got to, you think differently. You stop thinking.
Yeah.
When you've got that sound sort of engulfing you, you just stop thinking and just, it's, wow. It's just awesome.
Okay.
Man, okay, yes, okay.
Excuse us the rather lengthy introduction today. It is sort of coming into land back in the studio here. We're going to try it and see if it works and see if we can make it work practically. Feels pretty good so far.
Yeah, feels lovely.
So today, we've done lots of shows on fuzz in the last year or two.
Mm-hmm.
And the question that keeps coming back, and it just keeps coming back, is, look, I've got no idea where to start. Either I didn't like fuzz before, or I kind of liked it, had a fuzz pedal, didn't work for me. How do I cut through this mess of information and stuff out there and choose a pedal that I might like? Dan and I have always said there are 3 schools of fuzz.
3 primary schools.
Which are?
So we've got the Fuzz Face, the Tone Bender, and the Big Muff.
Yeah. And they seem to be the sort of 3 cornerstones of fuzz. And we've looked at that a little bit in the past. But really there's a 4th one that you need to add, which is?
The Super Fuzz, the Univox Super Fuzz.
Yeah, so octave, adding an octave.
Yeah, octave fuzz.
To the sound of that. And happily, as pedal fans the world over will know, JHS Pedals, Josh and the guys there, have come out with 4 pedals that fit those 4 sort of schools very nicely.
Yeah. Yeah, so you will have seen the show that we did with Josh just recently on the Tone Bender. We met up with him at Macari's, and it was, great fun. And then he comes up with this. This is his... He has a massive private collection of fuzzes. And this is his take on those 4 schools of his favourite an individual one of those fuzzes. So one thing to mention straight off the bat, this isn't going to be a does our fuzz sound better than Josh's fuzz, because it's a moot point. When you get to fuzzes, certainly some of the vintage types, one fuzz will sound radically different than another.
Same components.
Exactly.
Same age. Who knows what's happened? So there is, as Dan says, there is that massive variance there. What we have done, however, take Josh's word for it as we would. For some context, we've added some of our favourite versions of what these are kind of aimed at. So, for example, the Smiley is the silicon fuzz face. They started off germanium, as you may know. First fuzz faces with germanium. Hendrix, those were the first ones he used. And then he kind of got onto the silicon ones a bit later. Some people say he preferred them. I don't know. Whatever. JHS Smiley is a silicon fuzz face, and we've picked our favourite silicon fuzz face, or indeed my favourite silicon fuzz face, which is the Jimi Hendrix BC 108 version thereof. The Bender is based on a Mark III tone bender, Dan?
Mark III tone bender.
If you want to know more about tone benders, please watch the show that Dan mentioned earlier with Josh down there at Macari's. And the closest thing we have to a Mark III tone bender is
the JuJu, which is a Mark III tone bender, but you know, the modern remake.
Which, push comes to shove, is up there with your favourite fuzz ever.
Yes, incredible.
Yeah,
incredible.
Crimson would be now this is where my history gets a bit hazy, but it's something to do with Russia, Mike Matthews and Big Muffs.
So when Mike Matthews, Electro Harmonix went bankrupt for the second time, and Big Muff wasn't produced for 10 years, and then he saw that Big Muffs were being sold for quite a high price on the second-hand market. So he worked out that he could get them produced in Russia. And so he started making Big Muffs in Russia. And this was one of the early Russian Big Muffs. It was called the Red Army Overdrive.
Made by Sovtek, or was that something different?
Was it Sovtek? Yeah, if it wasn't Sovtek, it was the company that would become Sovtek.
Yeah, there's a Sovtek connection.
Yeah. And this is Josh's favourite Big Muff, basically.
So what we've got as a sort of modern version of that is the way huge Russian Pickle, which might not be exactly a bob-on version thereof.
But it's in that ballpark.
But it's definitely in that ballpark.
Yep.
And as much as anything else, it's useful context because it's a pretty popular pedal, loads of them sold.
Yeah.
And finally, we go to Japan, Supreme, and that's all about the funny other wedge-shaped thing you can see on the front of the board there.
Yeah, so that is my Shaftesbury Duo Fuzz, which is basically it's the Univox Super Fuzz.
Yeah.
And the Supreme is a remake of that Japanese circuit that was put into loads of different pedals. So Honey became Shin-A. So Honey designed it. They became Shin-A and started, mass producing this for a bunch of different companies. And yeah, the one that I've got is an original from Shaftesbury, which is a retailer in London, Shaftesbury Music in London.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And they had a bunch of them made. Yeah.
Didn't know that. All right. So what we hope you will glean by the end of this video is A, really good listen to the new pedals from JHS. And B, if you are not really sure about where to dip your toe in the water for your first fuzz, at least you've got 4 general directions here.
Yeah.
Of the 4 schools of what we consider to be kind of the touch points in fuzz history. Now, of course, you go way beyond that and you get into different fuzzes that do all kinds of different other things. Interestingly enough, each of the JHS pedals also has a JHS mode.
Yeah, very
So we should
cool.
have a listen to that. Right, enough yakking, I reckon, Dan.
Enough yakking. Let's boogie.
Shall we go in chronological order?
Sure.
All right, Fuzz Face then. I'm doing the touching. Hey. Do we know which is the JHS mode? JHS mode is going to be in, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, so they're all out at the moment.
Yeah, good. Right. As we said, silicon. We don't know what silicon. I did take the back off, but the boards are facing towards the top of the pedal.
Yeah, so these are produced, their surface mount are designed to be able to be manufactured so that they're not crazy expensive. So one thing with fuzz is that people can go to the nth degree. Like, for example, the JuJu is a really good example. This is made by Pigdog Pedals in London, who I've got a bunch of pedals from, and he's one of my favourite pedal builders, like, ever. And you look inside, and it is military grade. And
Sorry, I said a Taylor Swift moment there. You know that we're never getting back together.
Right.
We never, ever, ever getting back together. Like, ever. You were like,
okay,
like
all right.
Ever.
I'm vibing, and
I think if I squint through this plexiglass.
I like a bit like Taylor.
Yeah.
And because of that, a lot of these handmade fuzzes can get really expensive. So what Josh has done is he wanted to make these to be accessible, not hand-picked 1 in a million transistors. He wanted to make these to be consistent and accessible so that if there is a flavour of fuzz that you like and you sort of want to dip your toe, so to speak, then you've got these options.
Yeah. Okay, so I think there's 3 things we're listening for. 1 is kind of volume and headroom. 2 is the flavour of the fuzz itself. And 3 is the amount it cleans up.
Yeah, cool.
Because for me, those are the important things on a fuzz face.
Right.
It's got to be loud enough, it's got to be fuzzy in the way you like it, and it really does need to clean up off the volume pot.
Sure. And some of these, due to their design, just won't do that. you know. And
No, I mean, we're specifically about the fuzz face.
Yes. Okay, of course.
Let's do it then.
Okay.
Dan, go.
Gonna have both. Right, that's you. Okay, so this is the Smiley.
All right.
Yeah.
A bit loud.
It's wonderfully loud. Yeah.
So my silicon fuzz face continues to be the best cleanup fuzz that I own. Don't know quite what's going on there. The full-on fuzz characters sound pretty similar to me.
Yep.
This one seems to have a bit more treble in it, maybe. A bit more upper frequency response. Bearing in mind we've got the controls set more or less the same. Plenty of headroom, gets nice and loud.
Yeah, it does get nice and loud.
And I think, for me anyway, the thing to take away from the fuzz face experience is A, that cleanup is usually pretty decent.
Yeah.
And B, you get that huge bottom end response. So if you try and play down here, you know, if you try and play power chords, even on the bridge pickup. Actually, almost disproving my own point there. Normally, it gets a lot. I've definitely been in situations where the wooliness is more than that, but I don't know. We've got all the amp, we've got all the bass dialed out of the Marshall,
Yeah.
and most of it dialed out of the 2-Rock. So that kind of really, you still can play power chords, which is not normal.
Okay, let's have a look at the button, the magic button on the Smiley. What does that do? That is quite awesome.
Gate.
Yeah, man.
So what's he doing there? Starving the
transistors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a bias control, essentially.
Yeah,
Fixed
yeah.
position bias control, presumably. At a guess. Okay, hang on. Okay, mate, I feel a bit robbed of my extra bass response, so we need a guitar that's got plenty of it. Simon has said, interestingly, that there appears to be a great deal of bass at the back of the room, so it might be that these are changing our... Because it is a flat, reflective
panel.
panel.
It sounds drastically different than what I'm normally used to hearing. Yeah.
Is it a problem?
Not a problem. It's just different. And it's we shall overcome. We shall adapt.
Let's see what this does. Right. I got nothing.
You just hit it. It should be on. There you go.
Oh, it's so gated.
It's so gated.
Sometimes we say fuzz is really a single coil thing. I'm not so sure. I think that sounds awesome.
That sounds amazing.
That sounds pretty killer.
Yeah, man.
All right, okay. Chronologically next then, Dan, we get to...
the Supreme.
Yeah, so Octave, a bit of Octave-y fuzz.
Yeah, okay. So this circuit, I think one of the best examples of this circuit is the Who Live at Leeds, and the guitar sound on that was using this quite a lot. Lots of people were wondering what that sound was. And yeah, so that is this circuit. Now this is an original, that one of the old, early 70s versions. This is what it sounds like. What a sound.
That's mad.
Yeah.
That is absolutely mad. Tell you what, so it's got the switch that I flicked there is the like a stronger mid-range.
Well, yeah, so basically the switch, it switches in like this 1K cut.
Yeah.
So you just get this really scoopy, mad sounding thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, the back end gives you all that mid-range and stuff. But yeah.
Give me some delay a sec, can you?
Yep.
Totally a different thing.
It's completely different.
Deliberately put this guitar on because it is horrifically trebly.
Yeah.
And you go for that mid, and we'll come to this in a minute, but you're sort of stepping into some of Muff territory there.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
With the mid
that shape.
cut.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about the circuit, you've got the octave circuit, which is basically like a full wave rectified octave thing. So you get that octave up sound. This also gives you a little bit of octave underneath as well.
Yeah.
And then that's followed by like a high gain diode clipping circuit as well. Well, not necessarily high gain, but coupled with that octave circuit, you get this, really fuzzy sounding thing. As opposed to something like an octave, which just has that octave. This has that extra gain layer built in.
Is there something that you can do playing wise to make that octave come out more? Or the way the pedal's set?
Yeah. Well, at the moment, so this pedal I think needs a bit of TLC. That is cranked.
Right.
And the output's quite low. Again, this is, what's this, 40 plus years old. So it doesn't, but it's an amazing sounding thing. As opposed to like a straight octave where you get the 12th fret thing.
Yeah.
This, you can get octaves all over the neck, no matter where.
I was going to see if I can do that a minute. Which one is it?
That's
one?
This one.
I can't remember which. Is that in the mid boost?
No, that's the other one. Now that's mid boost.
That Strat neck pickup thing here works, but as you say, it's still down there.
Yeah, and it works down here as well. And you can play, chords and stuff. It's a really wonderful sounding thing.
Okay, in which case, let's... all the natural harmonics on the guitar are gone.
Yeah, right. So to get that octave circuit, you're basically changing the fundamental that goes in. And it's really interesting, but yeah.
No sustain whatsoever.
No.
Here you go, let me just check out what the controls do.
So cool.
Absolutely no sustain and natural feedback.
No.
But such a thing. It's funny, when I switched the mid-cut thing in, I think you're going, this is dreadful, I don't know what to do with this. But that is the sound on more indie records than I care to mention.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably a muff on the indie records, to be fair, but...
It's a really cool thing. Well, I first heard that Univox fuzz thing when I was hanging out at Paul Stacey's studio, 15 years ago. And it was different enough. It was so amazing, but it wasn't like didn't sound like that classic Octave type thing. You
Yeah.
know, it had something else about it, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
So this is really interesting. The thing Supreme sounds fantastic. It's obviously a lot louder
Yes.
than mine, which is really cool. But yeah, man, all that harmonic stuff is all there. It's great.
Very cool. Okay, let's come forward a few years then. So now we're in London. Well, back in London. So much happened in fuzz between like 65 and the end of that decade.
Yep.
I mean, it basically all happened.
Yes.
If you watch that episode we did with Josh and Anthony Macari down there at Macari's, it was a few months back now. The difference, the chronology of the tone benders was we were on Mark III still in the first year, weren't we, pretty much?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Were we? Yeah.
I think so.
So it all happened really quickly. And yet we've come all the way forward to 73 here.
Mm-hmm.
So why is that?
Because the one that Josh modeled this after, his particular unit that he calls the onomatopoeia unit,
Yeah.
which has got the fuzz written, and that was the year that was made. Now his has the germanium transistors. This is silicon, but it's basically voiced it to sound like that unit there. But the circuit's all the same.
Come on then. Let's see if we can recall our fun of that day, Daniel. That is crazy loud.
Yeah.
Absolutely insanely loud. I mean, talk about headroom. It's down at about 10 o'clock at the moment.
Really?
And I turned it all the way up and I thought, yeah, it won't get any louder. And I don't know what the
Just
DB
kept
meter
going.
said, but my gut said enough. Enough.
Wow.
Okay. Let's hear the other mode then.
Okay.
The JHS mode adds a bit of gain, changes the mid character, and according to the manual anyway, if you then turn the attack knob up, you can start to get it to gate a little bit.
Okay.
All right. The thing I want to try with this is just do the old cleanup thing and see if this one does. They're not known for cleaning up off the volume control at all, so it is. Yeah.
Man.
The Fuzz Face is well known for cleaning up really beautifully when you turn the guitar volume down, especially on a Strat. I had to turn it pretty much all the way to off before it would clean up at all.
Yeah.
And then when it's off, it does that. I don't know quite how that works, but my Fuzz Faces do it as well. When it's off, you just get all this extra noise. Cool. All right. Well, let's hear that next to the JuJu then.
Okay.
Which is your fave, I believe.
It is my fave.
For anyone worried about me bashing my headstock on the pedal things here, don't worry. This little gash here happened in a peak of rage.
Okay.
About 2006, 7.
Is that's not the guitar you threw across the room at the office?
No, not of the office, of my house. I was very stressed and angry.
Okay.
Probably close to a nervous breakdown. It was in the gig bag, and the corner of that hit on a radiator, on the edge of a radiator.
No.
Yeah. I genuinely was more worried about the radiator because I didn't want a massive plumbing bill. But thankfully, it wasn't any worse. And I look at it every time I put this guitar up and go, yeah, that was really dumb. So it's a nice scar, and thankfully nothing else broke.
See, that's a dumb scar for me.
Yeah.
Just the adjusting the mic strap comes off. Because I normally would always, I've always got one hand on here. I thought, well, I can't, I need to adjust the mic. It'll be fine. It'll be,
About the fourth day, I got my Collings CJ35. I was doing a gig and whipped the jack plug out the back, put it through the strap, and it went.
No.
Lovely big jack plug shaped ding right in the top of the guitar. About the fourth day, I thought, okay, first one comes hard, next 4,000 not so much of a problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, what we can do? Listen to the JuJu, weren't we?
Yes. That's really special.
You quite like that, don't
I
you?
really, really like that.
Sounded like there was more cleanup on that one.
Yeah.
Again, it's not supposed to do that. But
no, see, germanium transistors in this one, proper. It would be a very similar spec to the germanium pedal this was designed to, sonically after.
The Mark III. Do we know why he hasn't gone germanium?
You can't. They just don't make them anymore.
Right.
To be able to, these are all surface mount.
Yeah, so it's just too much variability.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the idea with this is he wants them consistent. And that, this sounds fantastic.
It does. It really does.
Yeah. So if that's, sonically, if that ticks all your boxes, then, you can get into it for, the JuJu is really, really expensive. And for me, it makes perfect sense because that's, exactly what I wanted. But if you want just to add a flavour of that without going down that rabbit hole, then it's a really great option.
Okay, let's come right forward then. Now, if you think we've covered 3 of the cornerstones of Fuzz Face, Tone Bender, and the various Octave fuzzes, or at least the early ones based off that initial circuit, there might be those of you watching who think they all kind of sound the same.
Sure.
I don't. I think they all sound quite different, and they all sort of react very differently off the guitar.
Yeah. Like, for example, Fuzz Face for me, the only Fuzz Face that I've really connected with is my analog man sun face, but I don't use that as a typical fuzz face.
As a typical, yeah.
I have the gain down. I use it more as a boost, and in that sense, I love it. But as far as the fuzzy things, like playing a fuzzy fuzz face for me, I find quite challenging. It's so broken up, you know, and it might just be the nature of the, you know, the way I play a Telecaster doesn't really work with it.
There is something about Strat the fuzz face.
Yeah, and I hear you on the fuzz face, and I go,
reasons.
my heart just goes, that's that sound, and you know, and it really is magic, you know. But when I into a tone bender, or you know the Duo Fuzz or whatever, that's you know, it's chalk and cheese.
Yeah,
you know, as far as those fuzz textures are concerned. As much as anything, though, because fuzz is such a dynamic effect, and it's so contingent on what's happening here. So regardless of how it sounds sonically, how it feels to play, you know, and that's what's going to, you getting the most out of it means that you've got to feel connected with it.
I think that's why I struggle with the tone benders, because I keep turning the volume down,
For a clean-up.
Nothing
it's
happens.
Not there. Yeah, right. Yeah.
We're still crazy. All right, let's round it out then. Muffs are the thing. If you really want an entendre, here's one that I know least about. Electro Harmonix, Big Muff pedals, Big Muff Pi even better. Changed a lot over the years, but now we're in Russia, and this is a thing all its own.
Yep.
What does this mean to you?
So, you know, Big Muffs have been around since the late 60s. And it's the circuit of a Big Muff. You've got basically two clipping diode circuits cascading into each other. And it is, you know, they created it to be really stable and, you know, give loads of sustain and all that sort of stuff. But I think where there's a spittiness to a really good sounding fuzz face, you know, and there's a bit of an anarchic quality to it. The Big Muff is completely different. They wanted that smooth sustain.
For me, it's the one that it's all distortion, right? Let's get that said.
Yep.
But for me, it's the Big Muff is the one that puts its foot squarely in distortion.
Sure. Okay. Yep.
Maybe because of that smoothness. That
sure. Yes.
You know, it's yeah. All right. Well, let's hear it, shall we? Daniel. definitely like the JHS mode in that one.
It's really cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
I thought that sounds awesome.
I have no real point of reference for that because
Sure.
I've never owned that pedal or anything, but it's thick. That extra mid push I really like. I guess if you're coming to fuzz from distortion and you just want something thick sounding and a toe in the water, Muff's got to be a good place to start, hasn't it?
Definitely.
Because the others are all definitely more quirky and
sure
vintage and maybe have their idiosyncrasies in different ways. Whereas the Muffs have always seemed like a fuzzy distortion pedal to me, which might sound like the world's most obvious thing to say, but that's where they sit. Really cool.
I'm really impressed with that one. So far, I mean, the Smiley I think sounds really great. We've got your fuzz face is still, you know, that fuzz face you on the Strat is still one of the best guitar sounds I've heard, and the 2-rock. So, but it just does sound really good. The Bender again sounds great, and I love the that bit of extra gain you can get. So that's really cool. JuJu for me is still awesome, but I think that Crimson is epic. I love that mid boost thing on there.
Yeah,
and the Supreme sounds amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it might not be as quirky weird as the old thing. Yeah, but they're getting super hard to find, and that the reason we haven't turned any of the knobs is because it stops working.
It does.
So you've got all that modern reliability.
Don't touch it. It's going. Don't touch it.
There is one thing we didn't do in the Supreme. We only tried one of the switches.
Yes.
Can we just hear the other switch?
Yes, please. Can we?
So we heard the mid cut one, and there is a JHS mode as well.
Yes, there is. I love it.
Almost does the opposite of what the mid-cut mode does.
Just gives it more. That is, okay, I really, really, really like that.
More mid-push. Yeah, certainly a lot more versatile than the old one, isn't it?
Yeah.
With those, because you can go from crazy mid-scoop to little mid-hump there. Really nice.
That's great.
Cool. All right, what do we conclude then, Daniel?
That fuzz is just awesome, and there are options, for you to either go down the rabbit hole or just, dip your toe into the rabbit hole. However, that's all just a rabbit hole.
I would say that in the many fuzzes that we own between us, I think they are good representations of the type.
Definitely.
I've got fuzz faces that don't sound much like a fuzz face.
Sure.
Or that take it off in a direction that might be confusing, even though it's really good at the thing it's supposed to do.
So you might have a gated fuzz face that you might use, that might sort of pip the gated sound in that. However, to have a really amazing gate sound and a fuzz sound, the fuzz face sound in one thing, that's really awesome.
So surprise, surprise, he's done a great job. JHS have done a great job of this. And I think if you are inclined to step into fuzz or at least step on fuzz, any one of these is a pretty good place to start. as an example of the breed. And then, yeah, as Dan says, welcome to the rabbit hole. Because then you can start going, oh, I wonder what that transistor would sound like, or this, and off you go.
The thing about fuzz is because, you know, maybe not so much the big muff and less the Supreme, the super fuzz type things. But the tone bend, certainly the tone benders and the fuzz faces, are really, really simple circuits.
Yeah.
So change one transistor and it's a different sounding animal.
Everything changes.
Everything changes. And because it's such a dynamic, the relationship between the guitar and the fuzz is so dynamic, and, you know, get a bit of volume, find that dynamic that works for you, and you're away. It's so cool.
That's it, isn't it? It's all... You turn each one on, you turn the guitar up to 10, you play an E power chord, and there's that much to choose between them.
Yeah.
You start doing your thing and getting a few inflections going, using the volume controls, playing your style of music, then they start to really...
Yep. And then turn up.
Yeah.
Because fuzz is awesome, but it really makes sense when it's loud.
Has been nice to be loud today.
Oh, man. Seriously, my heart is racing.
Is it?
Yeah. It's been like, oh, this is awesome, you know? It's so really excited. Boy.
Cool.
That is fun.
Cool. All right, so two questions.
Yep.
One, you can only have any fuzz pedal on that board for the rest of your life. Which one is it?
JuJu.
Yeah, mine's the Silicon Fuzz Face. And your favourite of the JHS ones?
Supreme.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's magic. I do love my Duo Fuzz, but that extra little bit of mid push in that,
yeah,
just great.
It's really cool.
Really, really cool.
I'm torn between the Bender and the Crimson, and I'm going to go Bender.
Nice. Awesome. There you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching. A massive thank you to our preferred retailers in the UK and Europe is
Anderton's Music of Guildford in Surrey, where you can buy most of this stuff.
Yeah. In Australia
would be Pedal Empire of Brisbane, Queensland.
Apparently hairdressers can now go back to work in Australia.
Oh, right. That's going to be mid-July for here, isn't it?
Really?
Yeah.
We've both had home cuts. Also, there are some links in the description.
Yes, for Sweetwater. If you buy stuff off those links, it helps us out. So if you feel so inclined, happy days. Also, thank you to everyone who's gone to that pedal show store. That's the other way we keep that pedal show going. We sell stuff like this. It was appropriate that
We've been twinning. This was unplanned.
But entirely appropriate for today, wasn't it?
Very, very appropriate.
There's loads of stuff at that pedal show store, including some very nice hoodies. So get you there.
Awesome. Cheers, guys. Have a fantastic week. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.